That's what I understand, that there's no boundaries.
And then he started making samples and I started stealing them.
I feel like we should have a jingle for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, but somehow the magic of it is no matter what, we actually coming from really two opposite background, we look a lot alike.
Like the red loop, the stitch on the back of the collar, when you see it like walking down the street, you know.
And as of now, 75% of the collection still be produced locally, and the fabric also sourced locally. Yeah, we want to have something above just a piece of cloth.
We want to take a moment and thank Calm Collectives, the stunning space that hosts season 2 of the Design Pod.
From its beautifully designed interiors to the energy it brings, Helm truly reflects the creative spirit behind our conversations. We are grateful to be recording in a space that feels so aligned with our vision.
More than just a location, Helm Collective is also a home to a reformer studio, a private boutique gym, and a charming cafe. A full experience built around design, wellness, and community.
Thank you guys from Helm Collective for making this season possible. Hi Shad,
Hi Valeria!
how was your week?
My week was amazing. It was full of adventure. We learned a lot today. This week I had 2 handovers. So yeah, I've been busy. What about you?
Yeah. It's actually been a very busy summer. I feel like it's busier than any other time of the year, in fact. And funny enough, we're swinging a little bit toward a bit of a different topic, still staying within the storytelling and branding identity. And today we have a really cool visionary duo, Oscar Badibanga and Gilda Gilantash, co-founder and creative director of a really interesting upcoming brand, Badibanga. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for
I feel like
having
we
us.
should have a jingle for you guys. Badibanga.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing. Welcome. Welcome to the
Thank
table.
you for
So
having
Thank you.
us.
Thank you for having
I'm
us.
Thank you.
very,
guys.
very happy that we're bringing in fashion into our podcast, Valeria.
Yes, there is a lot to talk about and a lot to learn, I feel like, especially for
100%.
us.
And it's, people don't know that, but fashion is one of the most difficult industries to run. And I talk.
And we're
with
here to
experience.
unwrap it today
Definitely.
with your help, guys.
Before we do that, we have to thank Helm Collectives for giving us this beautiful studio that we are in. So if you haven't been, guys, please visit. Let's dive in, guys.
Yep.
Okay. So fashion, what was the first spark and how did you, let's bring it back to the beginning. Like, how did you guys think that you would start anything within fashion?
You want to start?
Oh, I think both of our journeys have been a little bit different, but we both started our careers in fashion. So my dad was actually in fashion.
Oh.
And he, while growing up in London, he had a few different boutiques. So my journey really started with internships at magazines and summer jobs at department stores.
Wow.
While I was in high school, and I started doing fashion shows and then sort of started my career in fashion there. Went to university at Surrey Institute of Art and Design and London College of Fashion and kind of built the business fashion side of my career. And then kind of slowly started moving into fashion events, which is where my real career in fashion kind of started. So from a fashion perspective, that's where I started off my fashion journey. And then
Yeah,
for
I mean,
Oscar?
me, it's. I mean, my grandfather was a tailor.
Wow.
Oh.
That's the.
It's funny enough how
that's-
everything
yes.
connects.
And
all
that
the
was a
dots.
little bit the story of actually of our first collection, actually where everything kind of started. I also grew up, I mean, in an environment where aesthetic was quite important, from car to the interior of the house to the way my parents were dressed. And so, yeah, I knew from a really young age that this is what I wanted to do, fashion. And actually, to the day I finished school, the day after, I was actually starting to work in fashion.
Wow.
And I never ever done another job except working in fashion. Yes, I worked a little bit in nightlife, doing a couple of other stuff, but I always have been in fashion. I covered a lot of different roles, from store manager to distributor to visual merchandising, a lot of different ones. And yeah, and today we have a fashion brand.
Did you study fashion?
No, I didn't study fashion.
No, what did
I have been blessed to. I mean, that's my experience. I
Yeah.
don't want to that to put it as a statement that this is how thing works. But I had the opportunity to work for a lot of different brands, to have a lot of different experience, and I think that this is my school. That's how I learned. I learned on the ground. I
Yeah.
made mistakes. I made a lot of really great decisions as well. And the entire baggage of everything that I collected during all of those years had helped us to somehow today coming with the business. Yeah.
Funny enough, you come from a different cultures, both of you guys, and at the same time, you
Yeah.
both ended up being in the same field. You've covered so many different, industries. All way, from London, Congo, Belgium. How did you both end up in Dubai, and what brought you? How did it come to the making your brand?
I mean, I've been here 16 years now, so I've seen the landscape shift quite dramatically.
Yeah.
When I came out of university, I went straight into my first job, which actually wasn't in fashion, it was in beauty. Don't ask, it just kind of happened.
It helps.
And then I wanted to go back into fashion, and I started looking, at different opportunities in London. And in the meantime, I visited Dubai a few times and kind of was excited about what was happening at that moment. Took the plunge. I came out on a trip and went back 2 months later, handed in my resignation, and was here a couple of months after that. So I slowly started going back into the event scene to begin with, and then moved over into the fashion event scene, and then eventually moved into the food scene. So I was working for a food and event platform that was actually in Al Circle. And then COVID happened, and then I ended up at Al Circle, which is where I am now. But I think throughout that entire journey, all the different pieces of that puzzle and all the different industries that I worked in were very strongly connected. There was a very strong
definitely.
thread between each
Definitely.
of them, culturally, creatively. And all of those experiences really led me to be able to be in the supportive role that I'm in now for Badibanga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I had just done fashion, it would have made it very one-dimensional, whereas the brand is so much more than a fashion brand.
Definitely.
And we really want to make sure that we're tapping into so much more in terms of, bringing in aspects of tradition and culture and different elements of creativity that wouldn't have been possible if all of these threads from the moment that I arrived here hadn't shaped themselves in the way that they had. And also we met here. So I guess the brand, as it is now, the brand probably would have still gone forward because this was his kind of baby. But it wouldn't have been the same dynamic, obviously, if we hadn't have met
I mean,
here, so.
you obviously bring something to the table, both of you guys, and combine it with different experiences that you
Exactly.
guys come
Yeah.
with, and that's maybe
Different strengths.
the way of actually creating success. To
Yeah.
not come from the same field completely and have the same package. If
Sure.
you would be both, would have been a chef, or designers, then
Yeah.
it would have been
Exactly.
it would have been a clash in the end.
For sure. And culturally, obviously, like the fact that we come from such diverse backgrounds allows us to look at the brand from multifaceted angles, which I think,
Yeah, but somehow the magic of it is no matter what, we actually coming from really two opposite background, we look a lot alike
yeah.
in the way we.
Interesting.
How?
How
Because we actually laugh the same way, so we laugh at the same thing, and that's what that was in our early relation. So before work, I would say us getting together, we've been laughing at the same thing, and that's where you actually realize that okay, that might work. Because we can
Yeah.
basically look at both of us at TV and laughing about the same thing, and that's where you actually realize that culture is just culture. It doesn't have to be a barrier for people to actually to get together, and that's also part of who we are. I've been blessed to grow up between two countries, so Belgium and Congo, two different aesthetic.
Completely
on one
different.
side, super flamboyant, joyful, and quite out there. On the other one, a little bit more conservative, but super slick. An aesthetic that has defined me to who I am actually today. And also the way I'm looking at aesthetic in general. I'm looking at it from a lot of different perspective. I don't stop myself into saying like, okay, so I can't looking at it from this perspective or for that one. No, to not have boundaries helped me understanding a lot of different things from the box that I was putting into it. So that's the two part of the advantage of growing up in a multicultural in a kind of environment. And arriving in Dubai was literally the canvas. You know, you arrive in Dubai, you have a morning a coffee with someone from Peru, and afternoon someone from Bombay.
Yeah, that's a beauty about Dubai.
That's the beauty about Dubai, and that's where we were like, okay, my God, that's actually the best place to come and trying to build something that for us had no boundaries. The brand is not about, oh, we are a brand from that country or from that continent of that type of aesthetic. It's basically a mix of everything that actually had struck our eyes.
How do you eliminate boundaries?
Just by not trying to look at them. In a sense that, like for example, we somehow started as a men's brand because initially
it does have a very masculine feel
the
to
aesthetic
it.
was supposed to be an extension of stuff that I like in my wardrobe, but at the end I was like, I mean, when I could fit in it, I used to buy a lot of I remember that at that time I used to buy a lot of flare leg denim from the women department because they were cut better. That's what I understand, that there's no boundaries.
And then he started making samples and I started stealing them. So I was just wearing all of his stuff anyway. And we were like, hang on a minute. But you're stealing my jeans. I'm stealing your pants. Maybe we're missing a trick here.
No, but that's very interesting actually, that sharing clothes doesn't really need to be a unisex, something unisex doesn't need to be specifically for a girl or for a guy.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
We didn't even
like
want to call it unisex.
Yeah, we don't describe it as
what
anything.
what would you describe Badibanga as?
We don't describe it when it comes to who should be wearing it at all. I think even in the way that we communicate, we never use male, female, unisex. We shoot it on male and female. And I guess the rest is just down to the person who's viewing the collection and what they resonate with. You know, does it suit their aesthetic? You know, does it suit their kind of attitude? Then if it does, then great, buy it.
Would the cut same item, would the cut come in different sizes or it's one size?
Everything comes in multiple sizes. The only thing I think we learned is that we needed slightly smaller sizes because at the beginning everything was uber oversized. Because he wears very oversized. I used to wear very oversized. So we just kind of, and as we've kind of gone through the journey, we've realized that we do need to have catered to slightly smaller sizes as well, because some people don't want to wear the piece, but they don't want to wear it oversized, and it looks equally good. And I think the whole philosophy of the brand is really taking each item and making it your own. That's kind of the point. You're not stuck to the confines of you have to wear this with this, or this is a set, or and it's also not prescriptive. We don't encourage people to wear head to toe looks either. You're really supposed to take it and make it, your own. If you look at a lot of the way Oscar cuts the fabrics as well, a lot of things are unfinished. And that started from him literally taking his jeans or pants that he would buy from a store and cutting the bottom of the leg off, or cutting the bottom of the shirt off, or cutting the sleeves off. So people are encouraged to do the same if they want, like take the shirt, cut it in half. If you want it cropped, go for it.
Amazing.
What does Badibanga mean for you guys? I mean, I would say as not only as a brand, but maybe also personally or spiritually, if you guys want to see it that way.
So when that happened like 10 years ago, when I started to think about the name of the brand. Of course, I had a list of 100 names that was keep going into my head. I was going super conceptual, starting to find out a lot of different things. And I'm having this conversation with one of our friends. I just wanted to have a chat with her about something, and she's like, "But I mean, why are you breaking your balls for that?" I'm like, "Dude," I'm like, "Just use it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, no, I don't want to go into it. I don't feel like having it." And she says, like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because it's just like carrying your name." And then I was started to listen to what I was actually saying. I'm like, "No, but like she somehow, it makes sense what she's saying." So today down the line, the fact that we are both into it and is actually our name,
Yeah.
it's somehow it's perfect. We
It
are
also strongly
yeah.
represents like the cultural background of where the brand kind of came from as well.
Yeah, took the roots.
Right from
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the roots, and that's very important. So when we think about Badibanga as the name, as it does connect to, you know, the creative director's roots,
Origins,
and it
yeah.
becomes really important that, you know, the intersections that we kind of work within are culture and bringing, you know, that intersection between culture and tradition and design and fashion and architecture and all of those influences. It kind of makes sense that it starts with, you know, the root of it.
And
Also-
it's a cool surname.
It's a super cool surname. But also, it leads to my next question. You guys have so many cultures mixed in the brand, and at the same time, you have a lot of Japanese influence. You have a little bit of everything. And what you said exactly resonates with this. UAE as a platform to absolutely different cultures, to everything. And then you entwine also Japanese. Where does that come?
It started at a really early age. So when I was a kid, out of because I think I was already creative at that time, and I liked doing drawings, and so I used to draw a lot of
Kimono.
mangas. Basically, I was obsessed by mangas.
Wow.
And I'm still being a little bit obsessed by it. So that's where I kind of developed a certain aesthetic of what I like to see visually. But then I started to look at what they've been wearing. But I also realized that I was more attracted by manga that was heavily aesthetically appealing.
Yeah.
So I started to draw. For example, there were manga that I was obsessed by when I was a kid called Judo Boy. It's actually a kid going on. I mean, we're not really a kid, but going all around the world, wearing just a kimono on top of his shoulder. And when he has to go through a fight, he puts his kimono on. He goes into a fight. Anyway, and that was really the beginning of what I. So I started to do judo because of that.
Wow.
So I got into martial arts. I started to be, I will not say obsessed, but really loving the Japanese culture in general. And I know that through my career and time, has always been something that always been kind of influencing the way I've been looking at stuff. And with time in year, I digged a little bit more into architecture, way of living, the food also today.
Yeah.
So
And also
again,
the craftsmanship.
yes, and
Yeah.
going back today to as you've been saying to about boundaries, that's where you know that you actually don't put boundaries.
Yeah.
A young kid from Congo living in Belgium, but looking at Japan
looking up
as
to
a kind of
Japan,
an
yeah.
inspiration. That's where you realize that there's
The
no
world is a
boundaries.
small
the world is
place.
a small place, yeah.
But I also see that Japanese, those clean cuts, you could see that in African traditional clothes as well, no? You
Yeah.
have very clean cuts in some parts of the African traditional
I
clothes.
mean, you have it in a lot of different traditional. Because, for example, if I would think about there is like in Senegal, I mean, in different places, and even in Congo, we have a dress code. We call it the bubu, and it's a little bit what you wear for big occasion. And there's a lot of layers of shoulders and layers of fabric. But when you're looking at actually a traditional Japanese samurai would be, for example, dressed for a ceremony. There is also a lot
Layering.
of
A lot of
layers.
to it. So you started to be attracted by different codes, different aesthetic, but somehow we
All connect.
we are kind of all connected together. Yeah, it's a common thread.
Did you guys find it challenging starting a brand in UAE? Or was it just straightforward for you guys? I mean, you have different backgrounds that we already spoke about and come with a different luggage. But when you guys, woke up one day and said, you know what, we have to bring our own brand to the table.
But also, I think it's a very challenging business. It doesn't matter even if it's right in UAE, but in UAE as well.
It's so
It's such
challenging.
a competitive business. Was it challenging to start another fashion brand?
I mean, I think starting any business comes with its challenges.
Yeah.
I think the UAE has always been very supportive of the creative community in general. So I think, through our careers and the network that we built, we were in a very lucky space to begin with, that we had a lot of support from different aspects, whether it was collaborators, partners that we've worked with, spaces that we've activated in, and having that support system. So I think in terms of setting up a brand where we had the right infrastructure for us personally, we were in a very good position because of the community that we had built over the years. But the fashion landscape has, throughout the years that I've been here, kind of grown and grown and grown. The infrastructure has improved to allow opportunities for creatives in general. The fashion landscape here is still tough. It's not infrastructurally built. Like, it's not the same as Europe when it comes to the kind of factories that there are. There are great, businesses to support, but the kind of fashion that Oscar creates, the kind of fabrics that he works with, the kind of tailoring that he does is not standard practice.
Yeah.
So
In what way?
I think I'll let him elaborate on that side of things.
So in a sense that, when I started to look at the overall aesthetic and what I liked, and I was, okay, I like a pants with that weight. I like a t-shirt, which is a little bit more heavier. And I started to trying to source fabric, and I couldn't find anything.
Locally.
It was quite challenging, so I've been going all around. I've been going everywhere in the market, and I had been fortunate to have a few friends who could advise me to go in different places, but I still couldn't find anything that was really appealing to me, no matter what, in terms of fabric and in terms of colors. And I was like, I don't want to start a business and started to and have to source everything from outside.
It's not sustainable for a new brand. I mean, ideally for any brand to be shipping fabric, and you want to try and minimize your carbon footprint, right? But in this case, it became very challenging. And also when you did find fabric, it was in small quantities.
So in terms of percentage, do you manufacture 70% in UAE and 30 outside? How does it work?
We started purely here. Everything was
Yeah,
manufactured.
wow.
The first collection, everything was from here.
Yeah.
So locally, we find a place, 2 or 3 places where actually they had suppliers. But they were like, oh, I have those fabric for quite a long time. They don't actually move. I'm like,
Just never know if you're going to
I'm like,
get
they're
them
gonna
back
have
what I
again.
want.
1 minute
Yeah.
with me. So I'm like, okay, perfect. I found my guys. And so we sat and we said we need to review the way we actually want to operate. But I mean, for me, I don't believe in hazard in life. It was a call. We had to review the way we look at the business. So what it is we need to go into a smaller quantity, having a nice range of items, but let's not go crazy in the beginning.
Which actually ultimately led us to be more sustainable because
Exactly.
it means that we weren't overproducing, which is
Right.
also
Yeah.
a challenge, right? So we were small batch.
So made to order.
Small batch production and made to order on the bigger pieces, like, the coats and things like that. So we weren't just producing in excess.
But then that business model actually had helped us to not overproduce on one side, but also to not sleep with a heavy stock and
Right.
somehow
And grow organically.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Some problem. And so we started to grow organically, and of course, one supplier opened another one because the supplier are like, oh my god, but actually, there's now people asking for what you have, so they started to source. So I started to find more and more fabric. And as of now, 75% of the collection still be produced locally, and the fabric also sourced locally.
That's
coming
amazing.
from
Wow.
Korea, coming
Yeah.
from India, coming from Pakistan, different other place, Italy. But we found the fabric in here. And that's what was actually super important for us.
So now that you are guys growing and you're launching your website soon, which is I think will be another step in your story, and it's really amazing because I think in terms of aesthetics, it's so beautiful, and as you said, the mix of Belgium influence, very minimal Japanese. In terms of logistics, how do you operate a small business scale in terms of logistics in the UAE market?
Good question.
So, as of now, we're obviously a really small team. You know, we're on our second collection, about to go into, you know, batch number 3. So, you know, everything is very small scale. We do everything ourselves. We pick, we pack, we send out. For now, by ourselves. As soon as the website launches, we've obviously partnered with, you know, last mile company who will assist us on that. And there are some, whereas, you know, maybe 5 years ago, there weren't a lot of last mile companies that, you know, were able to function in a way that allowed, you know, really good customer service. That is
Can you
improving.
elaborate a little bit? What is last mile company?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So last mile are the people who you either have all your stock with, who pick and pack from the warehouse and your stock sits in a warehouse, or the stock sits with you and you pack your collection for your orders and they'll pick it up at your door and deliver it to your end client.
Okay.
Right?
Very interesting.
So now you have so many different apps. It's all easily trackable. Everything is kind of available to set up on the back end through like Shopify. A lot of these businesses talk to each other. So this has shifted a lot over the last sort of 5 years, and it's made it a lot easier for young businesses to be able to operate in this format. So you pick the right company for you. We're going to probably start with us still managing our own stock. For the first sort of 6 months until we've tried and tested, we make sure that everything is reaching our clients in the way that we want to in terms of your packaging. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, you can give all this stuff to the factory. They will pick and pack it for you.
Amazing.
But I think at the beginning, we want to make sure we're keeping a handle on that in terms of our customer relationships. We're able to add those little personal touches. We write a note which is handwritten by either one of us for every order that we send out. That would have to shift if we send it to a factory, right?
That's a good problem.
No, of course it is. But, you know, while we can, we'd like to keep those touches as long as we can. We will have to eventually hand over the reins, and we would still like a personal touch then, but you know, we won't be able to personally write every note at that point. So these are the things that have really shifted in the landscape over the last sort of, I would say, 5 years, that have allowed us to have a much better operational logistics support.
I haven't said that. You have very cool clothes on today, Valeria.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's Badibanga.
We need to get you in some.
They're launching their website this week.
Amazing. You, Oscar, worked obviously for many big fashion houses previously. Coming from a background where working with a well-established fashion brand to now opening up your own, did you take a lot of, you know, did you learn anything from those fashion houses to say that I could implement that to my own? Or
Definitely.
have you scratched everything and started your complete own way? Or
No, definitely. Listen, I've been lucky to work in a really diverse company. When I mean diversity, is about high fashion, a lot of more authentic brands, more heritage brands as well. So I had the opportunity of really looking in the balance and looking at, okay, so this one is doing this one is doing that. This one has this as a core business. This one has this as an advantage, and I think that I had combined everything that I've been seeing around, plus everything that I've learned through my career. But there is one thing that that we are really trying to keep is authenticity.
Yeah.
There is one thing that you can't buy, and this is to be authentic. You can buy an aesthetic. You can buy a lot of different things in fashion, but being authentic and being who you are, there's always this quote that says like, trying to be yourself, everyone is taken already.
True.
And I think that this is where
So true.
we are trying to stay as a brand who we are. So that's when we started to looking at it. And again, going back to the name is actually the both of us. The aesthetic that we are bringing is what we have been seeing around. And that's the only one of the strongest point that I'm really trying also to have when I'm creating something. I'm like, okay, is this authentic? Is this something that I really like? As of now, we still didn't create a piece that we don't like. So out of, okay, so this is something hot for the moment, let's make it happen. No, as of now, every piece that we look at, we can wear it and enjoy wearing it.
So what is your favorite piece, guys?
But obviously the Gilda coat.
Obviously,
No,
the
you
Gilda.
can't like the same piece as me.
How
a
do
really
how
cool
do you
cut.
stay
My
true?
namesake.
How do you stay true to values?
It's a good question.
And staying authentic, considering that there is so much noise right now, and in fashion and fast fashion.
This becomes harder as the brand grows.
Yeah.
Because you start having to cater to a wider network.
Audience.
The demand is higher. It's really hard to make sure that you're staying within your kind of authenticity. But I think, look, part of my job is to make sure that the vision of the brand stays true to itself and is translated to public, right? Because you
Long-term,
can create something that only you understand. How can you relay that message to your community without shoving your values and your core identity constantly down somebody's throat? It comes from a place of authenticity, of us just trying to be ourselves and trying the brand to stand for what it started with, knowing that that is going to grow and evolve throughout the years, and us being able to stay authentic as it grows and reshapes its language and its kind of strategy.
Do you guys feel like retail market changed in the past 10 years? Like you have so much experience in the past with different brands, you worked in different retail companies, big and small. And do you think that the customer experience, even experience with coming to the shops, the way we shop, and I feel like we live in a country where it's a big part of massive part of day-to-day life. Okay, the whole retail industry, even in terms of interiors, from interiors to basically the product, the branding. Yeah. Has it shifted? Has it changed in over the years?
Customer has gotten smarter.
Oh, interesting.
It's the same in design, in interior, right?
Yeah, in
Definitely, the
architecture,
client.
People do their
it's more
research. They know
educated.
what they want. They're a lot more cautious about sustainability, authenticity, about what it means to wear a brand and what does that stand for and what does that make you have to stand for. By wearing something, you're kind of buying into whichever, whether it's a designer or a high street brand, you're almost buying into their philosophy, right?
Sure.
And that
Yeah,
then
yeah.
represents who you are.
100%.
We have a lot of boycotts now, especially the last period.
Yeah.
And I
So-
also think like you just say like for the past 10 years, and for what I can say for the past 10 years, for me there is two really pivotal, I would say, events or stuff that I've really massively influenced the industry: COVID
Yeah.
and streetwear. No, so the democratization of streetwear.
Yeah.
In a sense that today's streetwear for me is not anymore a category into fashion. For me, it's part of fashion. It's there. The idea is to not go and buy a hoodie in a luxury brand and saying like, oh, but that's a streetwear part. No, it's just part of it. And COVID also had a lot of influence in the way we shop, in the way we look at items, and also in the way we operate. Just bear in mind that COVID has been a lot of opportunity for brands, for example, to spike the prices. When you're looking at it today,
Yeah, because we all used to shop. All we did was just consume endlessly. That's what we've been doing.
it had influenced massively the market. But also on a really good side, there is more opportunity that we used to have before.
Like,
There is an opportunity today on being able to operate, as you say, like from a really authentic place. Today, and that's what we are also trying to do.
Yeah,
is
not getting
yeah.
lost in the noise, because there's a
A
lot of
lot.
noise.
Noise.
Yeah.
And before, I think a lot of authenticity and the culture of the brand kind of dissipated, because it was more about the influencer who was wearing it. It was more about the I don't know, the actor or actress that was seen in it. I think the storytelling has become a lot more important in terms of how you project your brand as the people creating it,
Yeah.
than who is famous and is wearing it. Who is your community? Like, when people look at the brand, they're looking at who is your community, who's your network, who are you working with, who are you collaborating with? What does it mean that, you know, you've made this decision over that decision? Whereas before it was just like, you know, who was the last famous person to wear it? That has
That's
kind
still
of shifted.
yeah.
A shift is really important, and the way people are looking today at a brand is about, okay, you're cute, but what do we have to bring
What
on
do you
the
stand
table?
for?
What do you really stand for? Who are you? Are you into tennis? Are you into basketball? Are you into tech or whatever it is?
So what is your ideal influencer looks like? Yeah.
Oh.
What-
First, I think we would not use the word
Badibanga,
influence.
Badibanga
Yeah,
collab.
it will be, I would say, the ideal person that we would like to see with. I don't think that is really like a person. I think it's more the lifestyle around that person. It can be a lot of different. I think we love first people who has an intellectual upbringing. People that are good at what they do, whatever they do. People who inspires.
Value.
It's also like super important. There is people. If I have to name people that I would love to see wearing, it would be not someone from the mainstream.
Very interesting.
It could be someone that maybe I see every morning. It could be George from Pocket Cleans. You know what I mean? Like, no, someone who really inspires
George?
me.
Yeah.
So I think it's more into that, and that's where when you ask earlier how to try to stay authentic. I think you try to stay authentic when you actually are really, really trying hard, because it's not really easy, to stay close to what really
What you
matter for you.
believe. Yeah,
your
yeah.
values.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we're going to dress someone, or if we want to see someone in, you know, look, we want someone who shares those values, who sits in the same space of authenticity, who, you know, isn't trying too hard, is happy to be themselves, is, you know, on their own creative journey, maybe, who will take the pieces and make it their own. So that's why I think for us, really creating a community of people who are like-minded is very important for
I
us.
feel like Louis Vuitton and Virgil Abloh changed a little bit the whole market scene of looking at that. And what I mean about that is that a creative director is now not only the creator that creates the clothes and comes up with the next
sure,
collection, but it's also the face of what I'm bringing out to the market. You know,
I mean, 100%. I'm like to today. As you said, you gave a really great example by naming Virgil Abloh, because the guy at the end brought a kind of a 360 vision to the brand. And that's what I think that it was a little bit started to lack, because creativity, I think, reached a point where it was starting to stag a little bit, and people wanted to see something just around it.
especially in high fashion.
Yeah, but especially
Especially in high
yeah.
fashion.
Yes, it really special into it, and I think that it's also in general, just in terms of in the industries, you started to have watch brands
Yeah,
that started
yeah.
to, okay, so what are we doing? Okay, we can actually tell the time, but what else can we bring on the table? A lot of different industries started to question are we just not consuming for consuming? What is actually are we bringing on the table?
Yeah, that's, I think, a really key point as well. Instead of thinking about what else can we add to our categories, you know, going from like, you know, menswear, women's wear, accessories, swimwear, they started thinking about how are we diversifying what we do. So
Yeah.
the landscape of, you know, fashion events changed. And I was fortunate enough to work for a multitude of brands on the event side of things, seeing how those trends started shifting and merging into different categories. So, for example, let's say you have Louis Vuitton, who always, you know, had different categories and accessories and so on and so forth, and they
Yeah,
started
like this.
expanding. And now it's homeware and etc. And then they have events. The landscape of events shifted so much that actually your categories started shifting out of the things that you're producing to experiences that you're creating.
Becomes a lifestyle.
It becomes a lifestyle. Exactly. So I think that's the very important part for us, is not thinking about what else can we produce, but what other experiences can we create as part of our brand storytelling.
Beautiful. Is it difficult to take his brain, creative brain, and sort of
Transform it into branding
yeah,
identity.
Is that easy?
So I think easy, because we're very similar.
Yeah.
And I think because
understand each other.
of the experiences that we have had and similarities we have in what we like, I understand what he's trying to create. My job is to really take that and translate it into what our clients will see.
We'll see.
And the consumer will see.
I just see me and my wife, you know, I would be the one, like, no, that's not what I mean. You know?
No, but listen, it's a running joke. So I don't know where we were. We went thinking during a meeting or something like this, and I've been trying hard to try to explain something, and then Gilda comes. She say, "By the way, what he's trying to say is this."
I
and
spend
this."
a lot
And
of time
the
saying what he's
entire-
trying to say
The
is.
entire room went like, God. Like, and that's I think that's the proof of I picking an idea, or like sometimes I will come and I will, and sometimes I do that a lot. So we cross the both of us all over our path. So on the creative side, I come say like, okay, so listen, there's this. What do you think about this, and this?
Yeah.
And then she gives me her feedback. But sometimes what I do, I already take my notes of what I would eventually change, and I will see if she's
If she can
actually,
pick up on
and
that,
I can
that's very smart.
confidently saying
Testing
something
me.
at 70%, we are almost aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she
And-
takes your idea and she puts it into a beautiful package and sells it to the clients.
Yeah, and it's also my job to protect the brand.
Right.
Right? To
Yeah.
protect the brand identity and make sure that that vision doesn't become diluted when it falls into other people's hands.
That leads me to my next question that I can't help but asking. Branding. I have so
Yes.
many questions for you guys, in fact. Like, it's not even on that list, but
Go for it.
just because you're such a creative duo and you really cover so many different segments of creative industries. Branding. What is the future of branding, and what is it trending now, and how do you take a product and you make it work? Because in the end of the day, any kind of creativity, it needs, as I said, a good package, and it needs an ROI. It needs a return on the investment. How do you make it work? And what are the essentials to set up a brand that has a right brand guidelines?
This is actually an area where we disagree on quite frequently. Oscar likes to be more free flow.
Yeah,
and
the
every
creative.
time I say brand guidelines, he's like, "Babe, you're being really rigid. Like, let's just go with it." I'm like, "Look, I think it's incredibly important, especially when a brand is starting out, to be
100%.
as rigid as possible without breaking the creative flow. Like, yes, we've just started. Yes, there's room for flexibility and for learning and for adjusting and for tweaking. But I also think it's really important for people, especially from a visual perspective, to have consistency. especially at the beginning, because what you start to do is you're visually starting to identify with a brand. So whether it's the color palette or the logo or those subtle details, especially we have a lot of these little details within the clothing that have become kind of synonymous with the brand, right? Like the red loop, the stitch on the back of the collar, when you see it like walking down the street, you know. I was in Italy at Milan Design Week a couple of years back, and I was at a bar, and I turned around and I was like, that stitch looks really familiar. Like that stitch looks really familiar. And it took me a minute to realize that it was ours, right? But the fact that becomes identifiable is important.
That must have been a feeling.
It was cool. I mean, it ended up being someone that we knew.
Okay.
That was randomly in this bar that I hadn't actually met before, but had been at our event. And I know when I walk down this, if I see that little red loop, I'm gonna think about the brand. The logo has different variations, but the logo that we're choosing to work with at the moment is the starting point of people really understanding the brand and being able to really go, that's the logo.
Yeah.
What does the red loop mean?
I like how understated as well it is. You know, it's not too much in your face, but at the same time, it has an identity.
Yeah, and our brand, so we started with brand guidelines, which I think a lot of brands don't do. They kind of start with their logo and then they eventually build brand guidelines. But
I didn't even know that in fashion you guys have brand guidelines. I might sound
We
have
you know, Bibles.
how the logo can be used, what the margins are, what your photography should look like, what your print should look like. And we were very lucky to have a friend who is incredible at this. Our friend Aisha, who runs a business called Cash Bar, built our brand guidelines out for us and created this like Bible that we would give to anyone we're working with in terms of design or photography or layouts for websites.
I must say it's a very aesthetically pleasant, you know. And I was talking to a friend recently, and she's in development business, and she was telling me that these days, consumer, generally, whatever it is that you do, whether you're buying a fashion piece or you are looking at the property to buy, it's all about digital aesthetics and whatever you see. Do you feel it's more important to the tactile experience that you mentioned before, that you said that people will always go to the shop, they will always want to touch the fabric? Or do you think that just the visual aesthetics is enough, and we are going more digital than old-fashioned?
I think we need to have in everything that we've been talking about earlier, we need to have a balance. We need to have a balance in terms of the experience that we want to actually to bring. We are curating a lot of different events out of just buying a piece of clothes that for us will help people connecting with the brand. And that's what I think it's...
What are these experiences? For example?
Yeah.
So I think what Oscar's referring to is, obviously we've had our launch events.
You just said that, what he's trying to say.
What Oscar is trying to say is, we had obviously our launch, right? People were able to come and feel and touch, but that was here. You know, our consumers that will eventually be from all over the world will not be able to have that experience, which I'll get to. But the other thing that's important for us is we're starting to do a lot of what we call our community, our network events. So whether it's a dinner or hosting, you know, a musical moment or something that kind of explains who we are as a brand to people who don't know us, will not always include the collection. Yes, we have pop-ups where people can come and understand what the brand is, touch, feel, talk to both of us, you know, get input from us as to what works for them and what doesn't. That's super important and that will remain. But having experiences that don't have the product in the forefront as the kind of sole purpose, and allowing the customer to really understand who we are as a brand in terms of our DNA is equally as important.
Right.
Building touch points on the website that allow storytelling and content that allows storytelling will allow people to really understand who we are as a brand before they even manage to touch
To
the
get to
product,
the-
hopefully
yeah.
understand who we are without needing to touch the product. And look, as we start expanding into different markets, it will be equally as important to host those types of events and
100%.
experiences within those
Yeah.
markets to build our networks in each of the cities that we're present is going to be really, really important for us.
Yeah.
But I think the retail landscape shifted quite a bit as well. Everyone from COVID it had to be digital,
Right.
because you couldn't go and touch the product. You were having to purchase online. I think that's shifting again. I think
Yeah.
people want to go back into the store. They want that experience. They want to be able to go and see and touch.
Yeah, and you said socialize as well.
Socialize.
Yeah.
They want to talk. They want to talk to a guy.
To
They
be
wanna talk
part
to
of the-
someone. They want to have an
And to
exchange.
be part of something
Yeah.
bigger.
When you're creating a brand, obviously you are also creating a community, you know?
Yeah,
So
100%.
wanting to be a part of a community is very important for us nowadays as human beings.
Correct.
But for a brand, obviously, being able to be on e-commerce and be available for everyone around the world that also want to be a part of the community but is not around the circle is growth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for a brand, obviously, that's how.
Yeah.
I think that's also going back to Virgil Abloh. It was high fashion, but he came from the streets.
Yes.
And he created the link between being okay to be from the streets, you know, and
Entering the-
wanting to enter, and so it's a link that you sort of are creating.
Of course.
Do you feel like Badibanga is a part of a movement, or do you see the brand as a part of a movement?
I think we want Badibanga. I mean, I don't know if it is. I think within our
Yes.
community, maybe that's understood, but there's a lot of work to be
A
done.
bigger vision.
Yeah, the
sort
bigger
of,
vision
yeah.
is for Badibanga to be part of a cultural movement. I mean, that's where we're kind of heading. A lot of the work that we want to do, a lot of the people we want to partner with and collaborate with will lend that framework to start building and growing to be more of a cultural movement.
Yeah. We want to have something above just a piece of cloth.
Yeah.
I think that at the end, the garment that we are presenting, it's more like, I would say, a representation of everything that we actually have building around, which is culture, music, food, art, stuff that we're actually really interested by. And it's not only that. There's a T-shirt that I have a really love relation with, that I actually so it's actually the first piece that I created 9 years ago, that I still have until today.
Wow.
And it's not perfect, the perfect, not like the other ones. And so this one has a story. For me, it's a piece that I can wear to travel, to draw something, paint, whatever it is, and it's and that's a little bit what the brand is. It's about creating stuff that maneuver and transcendent around different aspects of actually what we love.
Yeah, it's also really important to continue creating dialogue with your community and really listening to, what their response is to what you're doing.
What do you feel the response is so far?
Honestly, we've been really lucky. Like, everyone has been incredibly supportive,
Yeah.
Wanting to see how they can partner, collaborate. They ask a lot of questions about the brand. And I think that really is important to us, because we want to make sure that we're continuing to kind of preserve the cultural collaboration, preserve cultural memories that are being built through the different moments that we're creating as well. And we're hoping that just continues to grow as our network grows. And that's what we were saying, like it's really important to try and still stay authentic to yourself, because you want to listen to your community. You want to listen to what's going on in the industry, but you have to keep kind of taking those, going back to the roots of who you are and making sure that that makes sense to you. Are we growing a community that is, true to our values? Because it goes both ways. Like you want your community to have your values, but you
But
then
at the
also
same time,
need to have the same values as your community, and you don't want to change your values to shift every 5 minutes. You
It's
have
a
to stay
dialogue.
authentic. It's a dialogue.
Because
that
you can
works both
switch
Yeah.
in
ways.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
What would be, just that we are, to sum up everything today, what would be your advice to yourself when you were younger, or what would be your advice to the young people out there who may be not confident enough to start a new brand, maybe lack some kind of, because obviously it's a learning curve, as you said, maybe lack of experience, lack of resources. What would be your advice to the Gen Z, I wanted to say, but I'll say it to the next generation? Starting a new brand.
Gen Beta.
Yeah, Gen Alpha, actually.
In terms of journey, I'll let Oscar from a creative perspective, I guess from a design perspective, answer. But for me, I think it's more of a case of knowing that to trust the process, to trust that, for me especially, if I think about my journey, everything that I did, every experience I had, every opportunity that I took or didn't take led me to exactly where I am now. And I think it's just a case of always reminding yourself that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Like, don't constantly question where you are now. If I hadn't been in fashion and then moved into the landscape of food and then moved into the landscape of art and culture, I wouldn't be able to do everything that I'm doing for the brand now.
Yeah.
So just trust that you're kind of exactly where you're supposed to
think
be,
it's
and
a
that
great
your
advice.
path will
Yeah.
take you to where you need to be. From a design perspective,
Not only from a design perspective, but I just feel like it's. I always say one thing: it's okay to make mistakes, and I try to not use the word mistakes, but I try to turn it into more as an experience.
Yeah.
Because an experience cannot always be positive; it can be somehow negative. But we don't have to looking at it in that way, and I feel like this is what a lot of people, I think, are afraid before to actually going
Yeah.
into something.
Failure, like
It's
all
still
of us.
failure.
Yeah.
We are always a little bit scared of failure, or scared of the disappointment, not only personally, but also sometimes towards other people. But that's okay. That's super fine. Just go for it. When I'm looking at days where I was like, oh my God, I should not do it, and actually I did it. Today I'm here and I'm happy. When I packed everything and decided to move to Dubai, I mean, how many people came to me and say like, "But are you crazy?
Yeah.
Are you really gonna move?" And literally, because I was 33, I had already had a career in Europe where I was working for the past 14 years. No, and I said no. I'm going somewhere else where I don't know anyone, where no one knows me. And I'm like, and let's just. So if I have an advice to give, and if I have to talk to my younger self again, I would just want to say, good
Yeah.
job.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Embrace failure. I have learned to embrace,
absolutely.
embrace it and be actually thankful for it, because if they don't come, those moments doesn't come, I won't learn.
Yeah,
you know,
it
so-
pushes you forward.
It definitely
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So guys, last question.
So
Valeria.
in the last. In the end of each episode, we are asking a question from our previous guests, and the question was, should I keep going? Was there ever a moment that made you stop and think, should I keep going the same way or take a different path?
Yes.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
COVID. We were supposed to launch around the time of COVID.
It's literally.
And then COVID happened, and our entire process got delayed
Yeah.
by about 4 years in the long run, because the landscape shifted. Everyone was kind of in a little bit of a panic, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
Work, career got put on hold. We had to re-strategize because the entire retail business shifted, the commercial landscape shifted. We had to re-look at our business model. We had to re-look at our strategy. what went from dropping a 3-piece collection, which would have happened, the year COVID hit, got delayed, and we ended up actually producing a larger capsule and doing things very differently to how we would. But in the interim, there was definitely a moment where we were like, are we about to just lose this opportunity and the momentum that we've built?
Yeah.
Is it too long of a pause to then start again? I think that was probably the defining, are we still doing this?
Yeah, we're still doing this. And I would say, me personally, I remember I was around 27 or 28, and I was like, is this something that I still want to do?
Yeah.
Fashion. And I remember what I did. I took a 6-month break. I went to work in a bar. And
Interesting.
I was about in a really small one, not even a trendy one or whatever it is. No, it was a really small bar. I was working 3 times a week, and I had a break for 6 months, just trying to assess.
To
And I
figure out what you want to
and
do.
I can tell you one thing: for 6 months, the only thing that was in my head was
fashion.
fashion. So I knew that actually this is what
That's
is what
your
I had
path.
need to do. I just needed, I think, a step back to more trying to understand how to navigate for the rest.
Yeah,
'Cause
to
I was
reflect.
young. I was working for a lot of different companies, traveling a lot. I'm like, okay, so now you need to recess. Yeah. So I have to say, personally, was that that only time. But since, no.
Guys, what would be your question for our next guest?
If you could recall a detail from your childhood that still influences the way that you create,
Love that.
what would that be?
Beautiful.
Love that.
Oh,
Love
wow.
that.
Beautiful.
Love that.
Wow.
Because it's pretty much can cover, I mean, anyone in a creative industry.
Question. Oh, wow.
And she just came up
I'm
with
so
it.
glad you
honestly,
didn't ask me that question, because I would have been like,
I want even to keep mine, not even right now.
No, but that's a great.
It's
Look,
a great
great-
question.
I
That's a
feel
really
like
great question.
we need to have another
Session.
session with the Badibangas.
Yeah.
with pleasure.
You know,
With pleasure.
spill the tea with the Badibangas.
Thank you
Next
guys
one.
so much. It
Thank
was
you.
super
Thank you so much for
informative,
having us.
super
No,
fun.
it was amazing.
Yeah, we really had a lot of fun.
Thank you
it
for
was good.
coming today,
Yeah.
sharing your knowledge,
Yeah.
your
And
journey.
And I'm so happy, Valeria, that we go into these small, different
Sub industries.
sub industries.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.